Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Silver Screen Shenanigans podcast. My name is Devin, and today we're going to be following up on the earlier podcast of Rocky with its sequel, simply known as Rocky 2. This is about, I think, as good as you can get to like a follow-up to a classic movie. There are a couple really solid like sequels out there, like Back to the Future 2 and like Aliens, and this is definitely up there as well. There's a kind of keeps up with like the humble attitude of the original. Some of the same story beats are used again, but this is kind of par for the course of Rocky. Like this is how the formula is set up. You take it or leave it. The acting is once again phenomenal by each character. And it sort of, still implements the story beats and like characterization and the plot of the first movie and just like builds on it. And I think that's always definitely a plus for a sequel. So this one picks up like immediately, like literally minutes after the first movie is over. Apollo barely sneaks out the win against Rocky, and then they're both loaded up in ambulances and taken to the hospital because these two guys are just beaten. Like you can see in their face, like I think the makeup department did a pretty solid job just to see how much like their faces have like sort of swelled up. Because, like, just after repeated punches to the face. And so they're in the hospital, and after the 15-round fight, they're both rolled into the hospital. Couldn't think of the word. And people are trying to interview Rocky, and I love how Mickey's is telling the reporters to get the hell out of here, and he needs to go rest and stuff like that. And reporters are asking Rocky if he thinks he'll have any more fights, and Rocky sort of says that he's thinking he's retired because concerned with his eye and brain damage and stuff like that. And then Apollo rolls in, and he's just fairly loudmouthed, and he's talking about how you're the luckiest man in the world. You'll never do that to me ever again. You're lucky. And I love Rocky's response. He looks up at Adrian and he goes, "I don't look. Do I look lucky?" Just there's like in every Rocky movie, there's little comments like that they're so like innocent and like humble, just that make Rocky just a pretty cool character. So they both are having surgery and stuff. Rocky has surgery on his eye, and they fix his broken nose. And that night, while they're both healing up, like during the middle of the night, Rocky goes to Apollo's room and kind of opens up the door, and he asks Apollo, "Did you give me your best?" Like just wanting to know, asking the champion, "Did you give it your all?" And Apollo says, "Yeah, I did." And Rocky declines to a rematch and says he just wants to quit boxing and go back to his sort of humble life. Afterwards, Rocky proposes to Adrian, which is a pretty sweet moment in front of the the tiger enclosure at the zoo, as it's snowing, which is pretty nice. They have the wedding ceremony. Rocky has a lot of money from the winnings, or not. I guess not the winnings, but like just participating in the match against Apollo, and it's another interesting bit of characterization when we see when a humble man gets a lot of money that's never had it before, and he kind of starts blowing it on stuff, and gets a car, gets a jacket, they get an apartment, and it's like, probably the thing I would do if I had like a lot of money. I'd just like kind of throw it around a little bit. Like he gets the Pontiac Trans Am, which is pretty cool. He gets that in well, I mean, the car is from 1979, even though this movie takes place in 76, but that is whatever. He buys, the 2-story house in the Philly neighborhood. Unfortunately, Rocky doesn't have a lot of options, because when it comes to selling products and stuff like that, when it comes to commercials, he can't really read. Whether, brain damage or his eye or whatnot, he can't really form the sentences or see the camera sometimes. So selling products somewhat is not really an option for him. So he whether it's like selling men's cologne in like ridiculous costumes, he just can't do it. Rocky's tried to get a job at like the meatpacking industry, like where Paulie is, but budget cuts lead him to get laid off. He goes and helps out around Mickey's gym, and some fighters like seem to lost a huge amount of respect for him, because like he was at the top, he went toe to toe with the champ, and now he's just kind of sweeping the floors around. Adrian, now pregnant, returns to her old job at the pet store. So while this is kind of always going on, like the Rocky and Adrian and Paulie are still kind of doing their working their labor-intensive jobs, and sort of like the lower, humble atmosphere. While that's all going on, we cut to Apollo and like his big mansion house, and he's been receiving just tons and tons of like hate mail about like the split decision win over Rocky, filled with anger and frustration. Just saying that and thinking to himself that I won, but I didn't really win. Like I won by the decision, but it didn't really feel like a win to him. So he wants to desperately fight Rocky again. He wants to prove himself that he's the champ, that fight was a fluke, 1 in a million. His trainer, Tony Duke Evers, urges him, just pleads with him to just find a new opponent, and he's all wrong for us, I think, is one of the lines he says. I love the line too. I think he says exactly, he's all wrong for us. I saw you beat that man like I ain't never seen no man get beat before, and he kept coming after you. I think that's another moment that makes Rocky so cool, that he just will not give up. He's always going to keep coming after you. So Rocky also himself begins to have second thoughts about the fight. Was it just a fluke? Could I go all the way again? Could I actually beat Apollo? And struggling with money, they get challenged for a rematch, it's on for Thanksgiving in 1976, and the training montages begin once again. Mickey again is unwilling to train Rocky because of his bad eye. There's a moment where Mickey I think smacks Rocky in his face, and Mickey's like, "You didn't even see that coming, did you?" He's like, "And that was from an old geezer like me. What do you think the champ's gonna do to you?" just all of his lines are just amazing. But nothing will ever top like Mickey's like line from the original where he says like while training, "You're gonna eat lightning and crap thunder." Like all time best. However, seeing Apollo making fun of Rocky once again on public television, Mickey goes to Rocky's house and says, "We gotta shut that bum up." So, and then the plan is like using, like understanding that like Rocky has the bad eye, they're gonna protect that eye. So Rocky's gonna switch, learning how to fight left-handed. They focus on Rocky's speed by using the old training method of like where Mickey throws down a chicken and has Rocky chase after it, and it's pretty amusing. So Rocky has a moment. I think it's that night after training. Rocky has a moment with Adrian, and the opposition sort of just saps Rocky of all of his energy, and his training does suffer. When Polly confronts Adrian about her opinion, because Polly wants to make money off of Rocky's name, they get into a yelling match, and due to the pregnancy, her being overworked, Adrian collapses and is in the hospital. Rocky just cuts off all training, and he's just in the hospital day and night with Adrian. Or he's in the chapel, and him and Mickey have some kind words with each other. Not even like seeing his newborn son until several days later when she recovers. Adrian finally wakes up from the coma, and then like this was a pretty low moment for Rocky, but to see Adrian like wake up gives him a sense of hope again. When Adrian emerges from the coma, Rocky sees the newborn son for the first time, and she tells Rocky that you got to go win. So filled with the hope and fire, they begin to train again. The montage of the music, Rocky's conditioning improves. He runs up the stairs again, and things are good. Things are looking up. The fight begins once again, where Rocky and Apollo are just in an intense battle, just exchanging punches, once again, going pound for pound. Unlike the first match, though, Apollo gets off to a fast start, knocking Rocky to the ground twice within the first 2 rounds and building a huge lead when it comes to punches. However, throughout the fight, Rocky just continues to pound away at Apollo, turning the fight into another brutal battle like their first exchange. Once again, at the end of the 15th round, Apollo's trainer begs him not to try to go for the knockout, as he can win simply by avoiding Rocky, because he has the punching advantage. Most likely due to Apollo just being quicker on his feet. Apollo desperately just pleading in his mind, I have to beat this guy down. I have to win by knockout just to show that I'm the champ and I can beat him. So he gets in close to Rocky, and Rocky switches back to his left hand at this moment, and he lands a lot of crushing lefts, finally knocking with one like desperate swing from his left hand. He knocks Apollo to the ground, but the momentum sends Rocky to the ground as well, because he like put everything into that punch. The referee starts the count, and they're both on the ground, this wheezing, bloody, bruised, sweating, just desperately trying to get off the ground. the referee gets to 9, as both fighters are clinging to the ropes to get up. Rocky stands up as Apollo slips off the ropes and lands back onto the ground. So it's one of the all-time great moments in movie history. I think Rocky finally beats Apollo, and they have the post-match victory celebration. He thanks Apollo for another hard-fought battle in the speech. He thanks Mickey for training him, and he thanks God. Rocky states, "Except for my kid being born, this is the greatest night of my life." And he says once again, "Yo, Adrian, I did it," which is, another one of the most classic lines in cinema. This is just another fantastic movie. With the second edition in the Rocky series. The next few movies, they'll take their ups and downs for sure, no doubt. But it's definitely a deal where got to enjoy these moments, and there are a lot of good moments, no doubt. Like I said, the acting in this movie was once again phenomenal. All of the actors slipped back into their roles. Finally getting to see Rocky win is kind of just like the nice twist there at the end, instead of him just going the distance. Even though that's, of course, all that truly matters. I rated the first Rocky a 10 out of 10. The only thing that'll drop this score a couple points for me is it's with the training montages, the formula, and the formula of Rocky movies, you'll kind of get somewhat predictable here throughout, and this is kind of where it starts. Still really good. I'd say an 8 out of 10. Another classic movie that I can offer my opinions on. Well, that is all I think I have to say for this movie. I want to thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time.